Scott, good to see how you're doing. You're the first one in, Scott, today. How you been? Curtis, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Pure, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Joe, evening, good to see you as well. How you doing? Mike, good day. Good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? Scott, how's your day? It was great. How you doing? How's your day, Scott? T, hello, Miles. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Miles? Hi, good to see you as well, T. How you doing? Manny, good evening, Miles of CMF. Good to see you as well, Manny. How you doing? Everyone's showing one by one. Jason, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, how you been? Let's do a rundown of what we're going to go through on tonight's live. And then we'll intro disclaimer about that time everyone's tuned in for the first part. Scott, yes, I'm first today. Let's go, Scott. Morning, Miles of CMF. Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hi, big bro. Come on, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Thanks, Miles. I had a good day. Let's go. Mike, all good. Let's go. So, on tonight's episode of the CMF Live, on episode 183, there's quite a mixture of topics to go through. So the first news we're going to be going through on tonight's live show is regarding the voting structure inside the United States, regarding is there any sort of crypto voters out there inside the United States. So Grayscale, out of everyone, decided to do a study test, a report on is there many voters who are, essentially cryptocurrency voters inside the United States? Is what the news saying true or not? And it turns out there's actually quite a high volume of essentially US voters who are into cryptocurrencies, according to Grayscale's reports, which we're going to go through on tonight's live show. Then we're going to be talking about on tonight's live show regarding France. France essentially receiving $101 billion in cryptocurrencies is what we're going to talk about next. Then we're going to go through the news topic on tonight's live show regarding XDC forming a new partnership. Now, XDC is a very underrated crypto project, which we rarely talk about, but they've just formed a new partnership. We're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well. Then we're going to be going through the news topic regarding the EU on tonight's live, regarding the EU essentially going to ban X and anything to do with Elon Musk. It seems like censorship is what the EU is right now aiming for. We're also going to talk about on tonight's live show regarding Liberland, which is a very, very small country between Croatia and Serbia, which I've talked about before. Now, there's some updates on Liberland on becoming the revolutionary place to be if you're inside the cryptocurrency space, and they're accepting applicants for residency if you want to live in Liberland. It's a country of somewhat. Then we're going to talk about on tonight's live show regarding Beijing. Now, China is having a massive real estate crisis, which they're keeping very silent about, same as France. France is also having a massive real estate crisis, but they're also trying to keep quiet about it as well. But it seems like Beijing is going to be going through some sort of a collapse if the real estate market actually does, essentially unfold itself. So we're going to talk about that, and that could possibly have some ramifications on the crypto market space and the stock market space in general. We're also going to talk about on tonight's live show regarding the essentially CEO Brad from Ripple considering an IPO path. So is Ripple considering to go IPO? Yes or no? It was actually something that was discussed at the Ripple Swell event. Then we're going to go through on tonight's live show regarding the news topic of essentially which parts in terms of continents. So is in terms of the Latin American continent or North American continent or European continent or Asian continents or African continents and so on, which continents are essentially excelling the most in terms of crypto assets and crypto regulations and policies, and in terms of transactions, who's the leader global, which was a new analysis done by Chain Analysis themselves. We're also going to talk about BRICS on tonight's live show as well. BRICS has launched their demo payment QR codes. So we're going to talk about that on tonight's live show as well. We're also going to talk about on tonight's live regarding the Ripple versus SEC confusion. Now, the reason why I'm saying Ripple versus SEC confusion is the deadline for the SEC the 16th? Or is the deadline for the SEC the 17th? Or is the deadline for the SEC the 18th? So we're going to talk about towards the end of the live show regarding the confusion that's been created on the deadline for the C1 forms. But before we go through any news topics, I just want to say to everyone, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, and if you're a regular in the CMF, this is the CMF Live, and it stands for Crypto Miles Family. I'm your host as usual. My name is Miles. I go by Crypto Miles. And on this CMF live show, every single night, I talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world transforming into a digital era. We also do Q&As on this live show as well, which means don't be shy. This is a live, and if you do have any questions, put them down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Or anybody else from the CMF can also help you out inside the comment section as well. The disclaimer of this live, as usual, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So welcome to the CMF live. If you are new and if you're a regular, let's go CMF. Thank you so much to everyone right now that's watching from YouTube, who's liking the video. I'm getting notifications. And thank you so much to everyone that's watching the video right now, this live on X. And thank you for the retweets and likes as well. I'm getting notifications about that as well. And for the comments. Thanks so much to everyone that's doing that, the likes and the retweets and so on. Thank you. Now, the first news topic we're going to go for on tonight's live show is regarding grayscale. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see what's going on in there. And then we go straight to the first news. Let's see where we were at. How you doing, Miles? I'm doing great, Theos. How you doing? Dennis, hi, Miles. CMF, good to see you as well. Dennis, how you doing? Scott, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hey, Miles, seems I'm still working. How much longer before freedom? We're not that far off. Good to see you, Paul. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and all CMF. I can't wait for another great live. Let's go, Addy. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Free and forever. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Hello to my family. I hope that you had a good day. Share the live if you enjoyed and want to share the news with others. Let's go, Scott. Evening, Miles and family. Ian, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and all CMF. JP, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? SEC have filed appeal. Well, no, it seems like they haven't still yet. No. There's a SEC fake appeal going around, and it's not the real appeal. Hi, Miles and CMF. George, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Bull XRP, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles. How are you? I'm doing great. Kenny, how you doing? Hi, Miles and CMF. Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing? How's your day been, Miles? All CMF. Gene, Lena, it's been excellent. How's your day been? Good evening, brother Miles and CMF family. Frankie, brother, good to see you as well. How you doing? I think about 7 minutes ago, the SEC appeal thing occurred last minute. No, so okay, there's basically a post going around right now on X, basically stating that the SEC has filed in the last 7 minutes, which is incorrect. It's actually false news. So checking on the documentations or public documentations, the SEC has not essentially filed their C1 in yet. However, according to Eleanor, they're going to be doing the SEC is going to follow through with their process of appealing the case, but they are technically late. But I'll go through that confusion towards the end of the live. Now, there's somebody on X by the name of Crypto Geek. He keeps on promoting the most random misinformation news possible. Now, he's been posting news that essentially the SEC has applied their SEC C1 form against Ripple in the last 7 minutes. That is fake news. It's actually just clickbait news that's going around right now. It has not been confirmed whatsoever in any sort of a way. So if you're seeing that post on X, it was originally created by somebody by the name of Crypto Geek or something, Crypto Nerd or something. I'm not sure what his name is, but this person is very commonly known inside the X space for just promoting fake misinformation and essentially for clickbait information. So if you're seeing that post on X that the SEC applied in the last 7 minutes ago, it's fake news. It's not been approved in whatsoever. And if you're looking for a more genuine response of what's actually happening with the Ripple case, I suggest following Brad, or essentially following Ripple's movements, or even, essentially following Eleanor's movements, but not Crypto Geek. That guy is an absolute moron. Now, bro, please give us some good news and some hopes that the bull run is on its way. No problem. Greetings from Colkirk Island. How you doing, Dees? How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Orphan, good to see you. How you doing? The SEC has filed the civil pre-arrangement statement form C with the attachments. Now, Miles, what mean if SEC files versus triple? If SEC files a C1, then essentially the Ripple has to file in theirs, and then that would be going to the judges. But the SEC is late slightly. We're going to go through that confusion towards the end of the live. But what we're going to talk about now essentially is grayscale. But we're going to talk about that more in detail towards the end of the live, because I have a lot to go through that. Good evening, Miles. Michael, good to see you. How you doing? Now, grayscale. The first news topic on tonight's live, which is most US voters right now prefer crypto candidate according to grayscale. Now, there's been multiple news channels that have been saying that crypto is not a big deal. There's some news articles suggesting that crypto is a big deal inside the United States for voters. Some voters, essentially some news anchors come out and say that, nobody cares about crypto voters. We care about the economy and so on. And some news anchors are coming out and saying that crypto is a big deal. Now, there have been crypto firms who have been doing essentially study reports inside the United States. Are there going to be any votes coming in from the crypto side for Donald Trump or essentially for the other party, which is Kamala Harris? Grayscale decided to do their own report, and this is Grayscale's report that was released today. Most US voters prefer a pro-crypto candidate, Grayscale CLO says. More than half of the voters inside the United States are more likely to vote for a pro-crypto candidate than one who's not. Craig Sam, essentially Grayscale's chief legal officer, said this essentially. Grayscale's partnered with the Harris Poll, a market researcher, to poll US voters on attitudes towards cryptocurrencies. And according to him, during an interview, the poll also found that 2 of every 5 Americans say they're paying more attention to essentially candidates that are positioned on Bitcoin as crypto assets compared to previous elections. Clearly, this poll shows that Americans do care whether a candidate is down on crypto, he said. The November US presidential elections pits Republicans nominee Donald Trump, who has said that he wants to make America the crypto capital of the world, against Democratic Kamala Harris, who has been essentially very quiet on the crypto industries. United States Vice President Harris is friendlier towards cryptocurrencies than her boss, President Joe Biden, is what the news is suggesting. But as a pro-industry, as a rival, and former President Donald Trump's Galaxy Research said, an election betting marketplace pegs Trump's odds of winning the election at 57% versus 43% for rivals of Harris. So right now, according to Grayscale's CLO, on his new study report on the United States votings, are people interested in crypto vote? Are people interested in crypto candidates or not? Is crypto going to play a massive role inside the votings when it comes to November times? Apparently, yes. Even to Grayscale, crypto is playing a massive role when it comes to voting for candidates. Also, the poly marketplace that essentially is going on right now with people voting essentially who's going to become the next president. People are betting on who's going to become the next president. Is going to become Donald Trump, or is it going to become Goldfish Kamala Harris? And the bets are more leaning towards essentially Trump. 61% of people think it's going to be Donald Trump, the next president of the United States, whereas 38% only think it's going to be Kamala Harris. Given that Bitcoin and Ethereum and other crypto assets can serve a hedge against inflation and a store of value, to us, it's not surprising to learn that Americans are increasingly focusing on whether their candidates stand with crypto. Starting in September, Harris began to up her crypto games, listing blockchain technologies among several emerging sectors where she wants the US to remain dominating. It's absolute BS. Do not believe one word that comes out of Kamala Harris's mouth regarding her being crypto friendly. It's complete BS. We also found that crypto is transcending party affiliations. Folks like to say that crypto is a baptism, but we like to say it's a non-partisan, essentially. And Grayscale is the world's largest crypto fund manager with more than $20 billion in assets under management as of October, according to Grayscale themselves. So, according to Grayscale, does cryptocurrencies play a big role when it comes to voting for the next president of the United States? Yes. Because before, we've only had crypto companies do reports like Chain Analysis or Arkham and so on. And then more, you could say, the news could say, oh, they're biased towards crypto people. But Grayscale can't be biased. And Grayscale just did their own reports. And even according to Grayscale, crypto is playing a massive role when it comes to who's the next president of the United States. And it seems like it's voting. The voting is swaying towards Donald Trump because he's pro-crypto, while as Kamala Harris pretends to be pro-crypto. Now, what we're going to talk about next, moving on from the Grayscale news, is regarding France. France is actually received quite a lot of cryptocurrencies, which they're keeping very silent on. Now, we know for a fact that, essentially a lot of countries are actually holding a multitude of crypto assets, which they like to keep quiet on. Some countries have revealed they're holding Bitcoins. Some countries were revealed they were holding Bitcoins due to Arkham Intelligence revealing their wallet addresses. And it seems like France received $101 billion in cryptocurrencies. The surveillance firm Chain Analysis today published its reports on crypto assets. In terms of adoption, when it comes to France, France ranks on the European podium. With nearly $1 trillion received in cryptos, Europe ranks second in the global cryptocurrency adoption index. The continent represents almost 21% of the global transactions when it comes to crypto assets. France received 1/10 of these cryptocurrencies, amounting to $101 billion in crypto assets. Only the Germans and the English received more. France is ranked 22nd of the global index. This relatively disappointing position for the 7th richest country in the world is because the ranking takes into account not only volumes, many other parameters as well. For example, the essentially equal volume, a country performing more transactions of smaller amounts will rank higher. As in previous years, North America led the way with the on-chain values estimated at North America was bringing in terms of crypto asset volumes, $1.3 trillion. Received between July 2023 and June 2024, $1.3 trillion coming in from the United States in terms of crypto volume, including about 340 billion just in BTC. The accounts for 22.5% of the world total volume transactions from crypto assets was coming from the United States. The United States ranks 4th in standings. The dominance of North America in the cryptocurrency market is largely fueled by institutional activity due to the launch of Bitcoin ETFs by giants like BlackRock and Fidelity. So in terms of regulations and policies, the US might be essentially ranked last when it comes to regulations and policies, and that's because of Gary Gensler being an absolute useless tool. But in terms of volume transactions, the United States is ranking 4th, which is still massive in terms of the whole world. Back on the old continent, transactions essentially below $1 million were mostly executed in stablecoins, 52%. They all followed altcoins at 18%, and Bitcoin and Ethereum with 15% each in terms of volume transactions. The dominance of North American cryptocurrency market is largely fueled by institutional activities in terms of Bitcoin ETFs, and the shares of transactions volume originating from transfers of over $1 million is much more higher than the rest of the world. So in terms of clientele or investors coming inside the crypto space, who's got the most richest investors so far coming inside the crypto space? The United States. The decline of Bitcoin's transactions in 2024 likely means that Bitcoiners don't want to part with it either. The return of Bitcoin to historical heights explains this. Eastern Europeans has become a global heavyweight with $500 billion. In other words, the whole of Europe, including Russia, Poland, Ukraine, etc., received an equivalent $1.5 trillion in crypto assets, which is more than North America. Ukraine and Russia are unsurprisingly the regional leaders. The two countries rank 6th and 7th. Ukraine and Russia are ranking 6th and 7th in terms of cryptocurrency volumes. In the global index, Russia gains 6th place compared to last year. Russians are increasingly using Bitcoin and stablecoins for international transactions, hampered by the Western sanctions. The country is indeed disconnected from SWIFT networks, which complicates the lives of exporters and importers in Russia. Ukrainians are also using it as an escape route as well. The credit cards of draftees are systematically deactivated for foreign payments. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are then used to flee. Money laundering via donations for Ukraine is another explanation. There's a lot of money laundering happening in Ukraine right now in terms of crypto assets as well. The chain analysis report aligns with our interview with the CEO of the Russian exchange, essentially KickX. And Anti Dalmatsov is his name, notably stated, the Russian essentially CEO stated this. The adoption of cryptos in Russia is largely driven by the need to transfer money abroad due to sanctions and the challenges posed by international financial restrictions. Many Russian families recently and businesses, practically IT specialists and their families living abroad in countries like Thailand or Bali have turned to cryptocurrencies to send and receive money. Not just Bitcoin, stablecoins are also widely used. So that is basically a little rundown of who essentially is running the show when it comes in terms of volumes. The EU has been bringing in huge amounts of volume, but so has essentially North America, $1.3 trillion in terms of volumes of crypto assets. North America has been bringing in terms of the EU all put together, they're a little bit more than the United States, but that's a lot of countries, compared to one, even though one is a continent. But there's a lot of volume happening around the world. And even though the United States is very behind on regulations and policies because of Gary Gensler, they're still bringing in a huge amount of volume. And the most high-profile investors inside the crypto space are still coming from the United States. Now, what we're going to talk about next. So imagine if the United States actually had regulations and policies and Gary Gensler did his job. Just imagine for a second, Gary Gensler did his job. The United States is bringing in huge amounts of volumes right now, and we don't have that much policies or regulations going on. So imagine if we did have policies and regulations, how much more money we'll be bringing in for the United States. But now what we're going to talk about on tonight's live is regarding XDC, a crypto project that we rarely talk about, XDC, but a very underrated crypto project, an amazing crypto project, to be very honest with you. And we're going to go talk about that next. And they've just partnered up with a new company. Before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. This is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put them down inside the comment section. I'm reading everybody's questions one by one, giving answers to everybody. Now, let's see where we were at. I heard XRP ETFs are coming. You heard XRP ETFs are coming. Well, there are 3 filed in so far. Good evening, Miles. How you doing, Michael? How you been? How you doing? I'm doing great. How is Ripple Swell? James Flynn tweeted about the appeal. How is Ripple Swell going? I thought Brad said that they will announce a very big news. Ripple Swell, they invited from the Ripple Swell event, they invited bank executives and government members, politicians, congressmen. A lot of people invited to the Ripple Swell event. They made the announcements of essentially regarding the RLUSD. They made the announcement that RLUSD is going to be used and that XRP is going to play a vital role, not just the XRP ledger, but XRP token itself is going to play a vital role. And that was mentioned by Monica Long. So they mentioned things they've mentioned before, but it was good to hear it one more time for the millionth time that XRP still is going to be playing a vital role for Ripple. But that's what mostly they mentioned. Mostly it's regarding the RLUSD stablecoin and essentially that XRP is still playing a big, mighty role. Very vital. Grand Rising CMF, Ray, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? So it's mostly RLUSD related and the XRP is going to be used. Thank you, brother. Even in Miles and crypto peeps, Semper, good to see you. How you doing? They are ranking 4th without attracting much attention is the key point. Exactly. Regarding the United States. Are you familiar with Cliff High? He's a podcaster and a philosopher that practices remote viewing. He discussed foreseeing people having parties as Bitcoin hit $100,000. Didn't say when. I have no idea who that is, but I'll be honest. Ghost Burner, good morning, Miles and family. Good to see you. How you doing, Ghost Burner? Now, XDC. XDC essentially has just signed a new partnership, and it's a crypto project we rarely talk about because there's never much news about it, and it's a genuinely amazing project. XDC Network partners with T-Hub to boost blockchain adoptions in India's financial sector. XDC Network, a leading enterprise-grade EVM-compatible blockchain platform on the LiveNet since 2019, has announced a strategic partnership with T-Hub, India's largest center to support and nurture essentially Indian Web3 startups. This collaboration will harness the strength of both XDC Network and T-Hub to help businesses implement scalable, efficient, and regulatory compliant blockchain solutions, accelerating the digital transformation of India's financial ecosystem. Through this partnership, XDC Network will provide its robust Layer 1 blockchain technology to over 25 plus enterprises and enable them to seamlessly integrate in terms of financial services into the blockchain applications. In addition to this, Indian startups operating across Web3 infrastructures, AI, DeFi, payments, Web3, gaming, DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure networks, and more will also gain access to tokens on the XDC network, enabling them to leverage blockchain technology for secure, low-cost transactions. Speaking on the announcement, Sony, the head of venture and ecosystems building, XDC Network said, "We are excited to partner with T-Hub to drive the growth of India's digital economy and set a precedent for similar initiatives globally. This collaboration highlights the immense potential of bringing together technology leaders and blockchain networks to foster innovation and solutions for Web3 ecosystems in India. By integrating advanced blockchain technology with forward-thinking financial infrastructures, we are set to revolutionize delivery and experience of financial services in India," said XDC Network. Aligned with Nadine, essentially the vision of essentially FireNet, which aims to create a unified platform where individuals and businesses can access and control a wide range of assets. The collaboration will help the seamless integration of financial services in the internet's fabric, fostering a greater economy and accessibility. Since the inception of XDC Network has been confirmed to expand its accessibilities to investors and users. Blockchain technology has the power to transform industries on multiple fronts, and through our partnership with XDC Network, we aim to equip Indian startups with necessary tools and support to foster innovation, scale their operations, and create meaningful change in this exciting step forward in the efforts to create a thriving ecosystem for Web3 innovation in India, said Markov, the CEO of T-Hub. As the landscape of financial technology continues to evolve, the synergy between visionary concepts like FireNet and robust technological platforms such as XDC Network is expected to play a crucial role in the shaping of the future of digital finance, both in India and around the world. XDC has secured listings on prominent Indian cryptocurrency exchanges such as CoinDCX, Gutos, CoinPark, and Unicoin. All of these crypto exchanges comply with India's virtual asset server provider frameworks. It's also integrated on CoinX, an online platform for crypto exchanges and tax filing solutions. And the XDC network is a highly optimized enterprise-grade EVM-compatible Layer 1 network on the LiveNet since 2019, featuring an interoperable smart contracts. It employs delegates, proof-of-stake, essentially consensus mechanisms, ensuring rapid transactions times, minimal gas fees, and high transaction through output. So XDC has genuinely signed a big, essentially, contract, as big as they signed through essentially all free quarter, because the company that they signed up with is the largest company in India. XDC Network, the blockchain project, XDC, has just signed a massive contract with the largest Indian corporation possible to name. And everything on those, essentially everything of that company is going to be running on XDC's network. Everything. Every sector, their gaming sector, their AI sector, their DeFi sector, their financial sector, whatever sector that company is in is all going to be running on XDC network now. Massive for XDC. Absolutely massive. Now, what we're going to talk about next is moving on from XDC news, which is incredible, to EU. EU says it's willing to crash Elon Musk's other businesses on X. So the EU is going back to its old tricks, which is censorship. Now, as we go more into a digital world, censorship is becoming a big issue, because especially towards X, censorship is becoming a massive issue. Because we already know Facebook and Instagram are censored, and TikTok is censored as well, believe it or not. X is the only place you can go to that is not censored, and you can say what you want to say. And apparently the EU wants to ban anything to do with Elon Musk. Now, that could just be X. That could also mean X Spaces. That could also mean anything, any other company that Elon Musk has. The EU wants to ban it, except Tesla. The reason why the EU won't ban Tesla is because they said it's a public traded company, while as the rest are private companies that are operated by Elon Musk, which is why they're trying to go against it. And they said they don't want to go essentially for X, but they want to hurt Elon Musk by going for his X Spaces, and they're finding any company he's a part of. Now, this is basically it. EU says it's willing to crash Elon Musk's other businesses over X. Elon Musk is facing serious trouble in Europe. The European Union is considering penalizing Elon Musk over censorship violations on X, but it could calculate those fines using revenue from his other ventures, SpaceX, Neuralink, and the rest. Under the EU's Digital Service Act, platforms can face fines as high as 6% of their annual global revenue for failing to handle illegal content and essentially misinformation. Now, the misinformation part is what's, according to the EU, counted as misinformation. The European Commission has launched multiple investigations into X. The European Commission is right now investigating X head to toe for possibly breaking DSA rules of the EU. Elon Musk owns X privately, meaning the EU might treat him as an entity responsible not just for the company. Tesla, though, is safe, from this essentially accusations. Since it's publicly traded company, it doesn't fall under Elon Musk's direct control. But if the EU decides to proceed, the effect could be massive. And while penalties are still being discussed, X could avoid fines if it managed to calm down the EU regulations. So apparently Elon Musk has one choice, which is basically to file against the Elon Musk has one choice, which is essentially to come to some sort of an agreement with the EU. Otherwise, the EU is going to start fining every company Elon Musk is a part of. And they're right now discussing fines. According to sources, X will have a chance to contest any fines, but ultimately the decision lies in the hands of the EU Commission. Musk, being Musk, has already declared he would fight any potential DSA fine in every way public battle in courts. At the same time, his political involvement this election cycle is ramping up. Musk has dumped $75 million into American PACs, the Super Political Action Committee he launched this year to support Donald Trump, and this catapults him to the league on top of political donors as he's bankrolling a large portion of the Republicans' campaign. Another reason why the EU is going after Elon Musk is because Elon Musk is very pro-Donald Trump. Even the EU doesn't want Donald Trump in charge, which just shows you should be voting for Donald Trump. Look, I've said this many times and I'll say it again. If every politician is against Donald Trump, then Donald Trump is the right choice. If every politician, this could be essentially US politicians or it could be EU politicians. If every politician on this planet, is against Donald Trump, then you have to vote for Donald Trump. You know why? The reason why those politicians are angry is because they're essentially, their time of eating from your tax-paying money is going to come to an end when Donald Trump gets hired. If every politician loves the person you're voting for, if every politician goes, this is a great person, vote for this. Politicians are the most crooked person on this planet. So if a crooked person is telling you, if essentially a extremely corrupt person is telling you to vote for somebody like Kamala Harris, then you know what the gig is. Okay, politicians are extremely corrupt, and if corrupt people are telling you to vote for this side, don't vote for this side. Vote for the guy they're trying to go against, which is Donald Trump. And that's basically one of the other reasons why the EU essentially is going against X and Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is pro-Trump. Some of these funds are going into digital ads aimed at young men, a strategy aimed at balancing Vice President Kamala Harris. The EU is not happy that X is doing essentially Donald Trump ads and Donald Trump tweets. All of the money Musk pumped into the PACs came from him alone. Federal Elections Commission's filings show that Musk has made 7 contributions, and the organization is hiring, essentially offering to pay $30 per hour to gather support for Trump. It is true that at one point Elon Musk was saying if you vote, you'll get $30 and so on. And Musk has been quite vocal about his support for Trump since his assassination attempt in Pennsylvania a few months ago. Musk is using X to promote Trump's campaign and spread claims that former president makes about immigration's violence and the economy. His X profile even include a link to America's PAC. On October 5th, Elon Musk and Trump appeared together on a rally in the same place the assassination attempt happened. Trump invited Musk on stage, calling him a truly incredible guy, which the EU did not like. If Trump wins, he's even hinted that Musk could be offered a role for the next administration, possibly to lead an effort aimed at cutting government waste, a project Trump referred to as Department of Government Efficiency of Dodge. The acronym of also nod to Dogecoin, a meme coin Musk has promoted heavily, but Trump still trails Harris's fundraisings. She has spent essentially $314 million on media buys in 7 critical battleground states compared to Trump's $173 million. That's fundraising gap. Also gives the upper hand organizing with 330 field offices with open access to the states. So apparently the EU is going after Elon Musk on a very large scale. The EU wants to fine Elon Musk on Neuralink. They want to fine Elon Musk on SpaceX. Any company that Elon Musk is a part of, that's a private company, the EU is going after it right now. Because they want Elon Musk to listen to them. And when the EU tells Elon Musk to remove certain content, for the Elon Musk to go, yes, sir, no problem, I will remove the content, is what the EU wants. Most likely, they're going to tell Elon Musk to stop promoting Donald Trump, is what the EU wants, is most likely going to say. The reason why I possibly may know this is because when Donald Trump was trying to do an X Spaces with Elon Musk, Anybody remember that? The EU was trying to ban the X spaces that Donald Trump and Elon Musk were going to be on a while ago. The EU was trying to ban that. And then, the EU claims freedom of speech, freedom of rights. Sure, let's all pretend we all have freedom of speech and freedom of rights. Now, the human life, we do have an organization for human rights, but it's just a department that's, scrape more tax-paying money from people. Now, what we're going to talk about is Liberland is what we're going to talk about next. Liberland is a country, but censorship is really becoming an issue in the digital world. But Liberland, and it's basically what essentially Camel said inside the comment section, is Telegram all over again, where they tried to stifle Telegram. Actually, before we go through Liberland, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see where we were at. Good morning, Miles and family. Ghost Bunner, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Greetings, bro, Miles. Great to be here again. CMF, Toby, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? Kerry, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? When can XRP reach the $5? Let us give it some time. Telegram all over again. Camel, yes, facts. No, yo, Miles. Nox, good to see you as well. How you doing? So, Liberland. Liberland is a very, very small country between Croatia and essentially Serbia. Now, this country was founded by a man that realized that this country was not on either one of these maps. It was never on the Croatian map. It was never on the Serbian map either. So he decided to create his own country in between. Now, anybody that went to this country a long time ago would have gone arrested, but now it's slightly officially became an official country. It has 1,200 residents. It's becoming a blockchain country. Even Justin's son is going to become the president of essentially Liberland, where people can apply for passports. It's going to become the first digital blockchain country in the world, started and founded by blockchain. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this Liberland up again is because they have updates on Liberland of all the movements they're doing there. So, is Liberland the key to crypto's true revolution? Liberland, a micronation claiming an uninhabited stretch of land between Croatia and Serbia. Founded in 2015 by a man, this little nation has big ambitions. Its core beliefs in libertarianism, minimal government, so basically they have no government, maximum personal freedom. What makes it stand out is that it's state built for the age of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. No taxes, no borders, and no interferences in this country. Last week, the election of Justin's son, founder of Tron, as prime minister, put the spotlight directly onto this micronation, turning it into a potential hub for true crypto revolution. Under Justin's son's leadership, the goal is simple: turn Liberland into a completely decentralized nation where blockchain governs everything. So now we have a bit of an idea of what Justin's son wants to do with Liberland. From voting systems to contracts, even citizenship process. If anybody wants to live in Liberland, citizenship process. Blockchain has replaced old school, essentially, bureaucracy. The idea is to create a system where everything is transparent, secure, and decentralized. They launched a Liberland dollar. They've actually launched a Liberland dollar, LLD is the ticker, on Solana just a few days ago. That's a game changer for the micronations and makes Solana an ideal platform for Liberland's ambitions. Since the transactions cost can kill blockchain adoption, this is huge. And for Liberland, it means that running a nation without sluggishness and cost that traditional systems bring. Liberland is a tax haven for anyone trading or investing in crypto. It's a tax haven. They're offering citizenship to those who invest in the economy or take part in the development projects of Liberland, the country. You can apply for citizenship by contributing to Liberland's economy, and if you help build up their ecosystems, you're rewarded with Liberland's merits, which is their version of a digital asset. If you spend enough time in the nation, you can even qualify for free citizenship. Liberland has been heavily engaging with the global crypto communities. Earlier this year, they were at the Bitcoin 2024 Nashville event in America to show off their blockchain-based governance model. The goal is to build a strong community around the nation's decentralized system. More people, more talent, more innovation. Liberland, the country, was showcasing itself at the Bitcoin event in Nashville, the same one that President Trump was at. Liberland isn't recognized by any other country. In fact, its territorial claims are disputed by Croatia and Serbia. The land in question, about 7 square kilometers, lies in a disputed area on the Dinham River in a patch of land that neither country wants to claim. Liberland has no infrastructure and lies on floodplains, which makes it tricky for anyone looking to settle there. However, access to the land is often also blocked, and anyone who tries to step foot in the area is usually detained or arrested. Now, the founder himself has also been arrested by entering his own country, but that was a long time ago. Apparently, things have changed. Despite these challenges, Liberland's legal team continues to push the idea that the land they claim is unclaimed by either Serbia or Croatia is a country. They invoke the terrors of principles, urging that since neither country officially recognizes the territory, they are free to claim it. Croatian authorities, on the other hand, aren't amused. They have demolished makeshift structures built by Liberland supporters, threatened them, and generally just made it clear that they are not willing to a micronation route taking place. And that they've built close ties. Well, here's the thing, Liberland, but still, as of March, Liberland had 1,200 registered citizens who paid up to $10,000 for passports. Over 735,000 people have applied for citizenship. 735,000 people each paid $10,000 to live in Liberland, with many wanting contributing to the construction of this new society. The question remains, would anybody live in Liberland to escape crypto taxes? Now, there are alternatives to escape crypto taxes, essentially, which is borrow against your crypto assets and you don't get taxed on debt. And you can do that in any country. You don't need to go to a tax haven to do that. But apparently, a lot of people have high interest now, especially in 2024, to live in Liberland. 735,000 people have signed up, and they've paid $10,000 deposits for Liberland citizenships, because it's the only country in the world that's going to be completely a blockchain infrastructure. No politicians needed, no governments, no nothing. Just one prime minister and another person, and the entire country is run by AI. Because before, they never mentioned what their plan was, but apparently now their plan is everything is on blockchain. Now, what we're going to talk about next, moving off Liberland. If anybody does want to go move there and check them out, go and check them out. I'm not recommending anybody to move to Liberland in any sort of way. But if you really, really, really want to live in a tax haven, you can also go to Monaco for that as well, to be fairly honest. Can Beijing really prevent the collapse of its real estate market space is what we're going to talk about next. The France right now is having major difficulties right now, France. And in terms of its real estate market space, it's not doing too well. So France, who knows, in a few months, we could see France maybe sliding downwards if they don't keep on playing around with the numbers, because France's real estate bubble is about to be bursting very badly. And they have a major issue. Beijing also has a major real estate issue. And China has been doing their best to keep things silent on China's real estate issues. And they just did something very stupid. China essentially saw that Beijing's real estate sector is not doing too well. So China decided to pump this sector with 4,000 billion yen. Now, the last real estate massive company that China decided to just keep alive for no apparent reason was the other real estate company that the bubble burst and took down. If anybody remember, if you were inside the crypto space last year, there was a Chinese real estate company that their bubble completely burst. It took down the majority of the real estate market space with it. It took down the stock market with it and the crypto sector with it. What China's doing now is bigger than that. And if this bubble bursts, then it's going to have much more ramifications on the crypto market, the stock market, and the real estate market space. And because what they did before was China was feeding that company, that failing real estate company, they were feeding it loans that company can never pay back. That company was in debt since 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23. but China kept on still giving out loans to it to keep that company alive, that real estate company. And they were never able to pay back their previous loans. They were getting loan after loan. That company was becoming bigger and bigger and bigger until that bubble burst. Once again, China has decided to feed another essentially real estate sector that is failing massively, which is their Beijing real estate sector, with more money. And that is going to burst even worse. And it was called Evergreen. Orphan, thanks so much for that. Now remember, it's called Evergreen. So worse than Evergreen, basically. In the global context, marked by economic uncertainties, China is facing an unprecedented challenge to maintain its growth. Indeed, for several months, the Asian giant, the world's second largest economy, has been trying to break free from the deadlock, notably through the revival of the real estate sector in deep crisis. The Chinese government has just announced a new series of ambitious measures for its economy, with practical focus on the real estate market. These initiatives are crucial for China, but also for the global economy, given the Middle Kingdom's impact on trade exchanges and financial stability. China unveiled new measures to support a declining real estate sector in hopes of boosting a slowly economy. During a press conference held in Beijing, the housing minister Ning Hong announced the extension of credit for white-listed real estate projects to 4,000 billion yuan by the end of 2024. Nearly double the previous allocations are being fed into this channel. This whitelist mechanism allows to recommend priority real estate projects to banks for financing. Such initiatives aims to prevent an unfinished project, a recurring global since the crisis of the sector's giants like Evergrande. Remember the real estate company? The last massive real estate company in China that they kept on feeding it loans to? Since 2019, that company was having issues. Since 2018-19, that real estate company in China was having issues. And they kept on feeding it more loans every year, and it can never pay back the previous loans until it reached 2023, when that bubble just burst. And Evergrande went, stock market went, real estate market went, crypto went, everything followed it. What's happening now is bigger than Evergrande. And China's doing that same movement again. So history repeating itself. In addition to this massive funding, Beijing has promised the revolution of 1 million essentially homes located in urban villages. The issue is they're building with nobody to buy. So you can see where the problem is about to rise. There's something called supply and demand. The demand is not there right now for anybody that wants to buy homes, but the supply is there. If the supply piles on too much on top of each other, it's like a house of cards. Get the irony? The government believes these renovations are essential to improving living conditions and strengthening infrastructure safety. And essentially, urban villages present numerous safety risks and poor living conditions. People are eager for renovations, Ning Hong explained during the announcement. Support for the real estate market, one of the pillars of China's growth for the 2 decades, is now crucial to stop the spiral of price depreciation and restore investor confidence in China. While the government announcements have already sparked renowned interest in financial markets, including a 20% rise in China's stock exchange at the end of September, the new measures unveiled this week have not generated the same enthusiasm. The further we got in the press conference, the more we saw the markets weren't that really thrilled, said essentially Stefan Inns of SPI Asset Management. At the conference, the first conference happened last month. The first conference in China for real estate market was last month, where China came out and said, we're going to boost the stock market and everything's perfect, don't worry about it. Everybody was excited. And in the markets, everybody was excited for China last month. It was great. This month, they said the same thing. However, the enthusiasm was not there at all from anybody as an investor in China. Thus, investors seem to be waiting more for another announcement to be convinced that China's real estate sector can stabilize itself in the long term. The turmoil regaining in China's real estate sector cannot be resolved with a few speeches and sloppy measures. It seems like investors in China were not impressed in any sort of a way with this Ning Hang person coming on the mic and telling everybody, don't worry about it, the real estate market space sector is great in China, nothing's going to be happening, no bubbles are going to be bursting, we're doing excellent. Not a single investor brought that act. The investors actually said nobody's believing these speeches anymore. In China, the investors in China said nobody's believing these speeches for the real estate market anymore. Beyond targeted housing interactions, the Chinese government also presented a comprehensive economic plan, which includes interest rate cuts for home loans and easing of property purchases and majors. However, these actions, while positive, must be measured against the magnitude of structural difficulties facing the real estate sector. Investors emphasized that the situation remains fragile and that the impact of these measures could prove limited if consumer confidence does not return quickly. Beijing, aiming for a 5% growth in 2024, must overcome numerous challenges to meet this target. And in a very simple way to put it, China's real estate market sector doing absolutely horrendous, horrible. What's possible to be doing? And if it continues down this route and China keeps on pumping it with more money and building, as essentially what Orphan said inside the comment section, they're building ghost cities. Have you seen these ghost cities they're building in China in the real estate market space? They're doing it in quite a lot of countries as well. Well, they're building essentially apartment buildings, back-to-back apartment buildings, but nobody decided to. And they don't stop. They keep on building, keep on building, keep on building. Supply and demand. They're supplying it, but there's no demand. You know why? Because the prices are too crazy. Inflation is too crazy. Nobody's going to be, essentially coughing up that much amount of money to be buying those crazy apartments to live in a ghost city. If I want to live in a ghost city, I'll go and live in essentially a villa in a very nice island, like in Sardinia or something. Why would I go and live in a ghost apartment? So that's what the issue is right now in China, where supply is so much and demand is not there. And the high-profile investors are looking at it and going, yeah, we don't believe these speeches anymore. Are you going to fix China's real estate market sector, or are you just going to feed us speeches that everything is good? Even the high-profile investors don't believe their BS anymore. Yeah, China's economy is going to be taking a massive hit if their real estate sector collapses, because this isn't just one company. Last time it was Evergrande and it was one company, and we saw the impact on the crypto market. This is an entire real estate sector, not just one company like Evergrande. This is the entire sector of real estate in China, in Beijing. That will have a lot more ramifications on the market space. Let's see how China's going to turn that one around. And real estate is one of the four pillars, one of the four pillars that keep China's essentially economy second in the world. Now, but these are things for you to know about, just in case you ever see China going through some turmoil or through some turbulence. You know why China is going through turbulence? Real estate market space. Just like France is going to be going through soon. What we're going to talk about next is CEO Brad. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. If you have any comments, put them down inside the comment section. Don't be shy, even if you are new inside the crypto space. I read everybody's comments one by one. I even call out your name when I read in your comments. And don't be shy. But Musk will stand up. Regarding signing up to the EU, yeah, definitely. Knowing Elon Musk, he doesn't back down. Hello, Miles and CMF. Glenda, good to see you. How you doing? Even Miles and CMF. Tanner, good to see you. How you doing? Is Liberland doing like Paolo, where you get a digital residency? No, you actually get an actual residency to live there. Is there an interesting documentary on YouTube about Liberland and its formation? Yes, there is, regarding Liberland on YouTube. I can find one for you if you want. Miles, I was on my way to ask you about XDC, about something new, lol. Regarding XDC, I mean, they just signed one of the biggest contracts ever in India with T-Hub, which is massive for them. Gaming, DeFi, science contracts, anything that T-Hub builds in India is going to be on XDC's network now. Liberland living the dreams of major Nigeria. Evergreen, yep. Evergreen are massive shipping company also. Yes, they are. Country Garden was another. Yes. They were building ghost cities. Yes, facts. I'm surprised that China is doing the same mistakes. Well, there's a reason why they say history will always repeat itself. I think one of the main reasons that history, there are multiple main reasons, but one of the main reasons that history will always repeat itself is because the same people are in control. The only reason history will repeat itself is because the same people that caused the issue the first time around are still in control for the second time around, and the third time around, and the fourth time around. And these people are greedy. Greed is what's causing history on repeat, because all they care about is filling up their pockets. So if you have the same people running the show every single time, of course you're going to get the same results. And if you have people that listen to these people and who are very forgetful, retail section is very forgetful when it comes to history. Not everybody, but a lot, a majority of the world. Hence why the world is the way it is. But yeah, a lot of people forget so often, very quickly, and that's why history is very easy to repeat. But also, the same people that repeated the history are always the same people in control. So of course, you're going to get the same results. I'm surprised. That's why China is doing the same mistakes. It's greed. Same people in control. They're just filling up their pockets one more time for the millionth time. Shoddy workmanship on buildings affected market. Yep, corruption, facts. Ian, Miles, hello Miles, Dale, good to see you. How you doing? Now, what we're going to talk about next is CEO Brad Ripple. Is Ripple, the age-old question when it comes to Ripple, is Ripple going to do an IPO? Well, Brad got asked this question at the Ripple Swell conference event, and here is his response. At the recent Swell conference, Ripple's CEO Brad essentially addressed the possibility of the company going public. When asked about a potential IPO in the light of regulatory clarity expected next year or this year, he clarified, an IPO has not been a high priority for us. Part of that is because the SEC is not our friend, is what Ripple said, is what Brad said. In an interview with Thinking Crypto, he said that most companies seek to go public primarily to raise capital, which is true. The only reason a company would go public is for raising money. Another reason why a company would go public is because they have to. Some companies get forced to go public, believe it or not, because certain companies want to control that company. So sometimes some companies, somewhere down the line, they'll get forced to go public so they can be controlled by Vanguard, so they can be controlled by BlackRock, so they can be controlled by Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and the case just goes on, Franklin Templeton, the list just goes on. So Brad is correct. The reasons why a company would go public is to raise essentially capital. That's one of the reasons. That's correct. In contrast, he said that Ripple has maintained a strong financial position, allowing it to invest in various projects and make acquisitions without essentially the immediate need for public funding. So he said that Ripple is not desperate for money. According to Brad, Ripple is not desperate for money, and they don't think they're going public right now. One, because the SEC is not very friendly, and two, they don't need to raise money, so they don't need to go public, which is a good thing. That means they have money. He also said, we have a hostile, essentially, SEC and a company that doesn't need to raise capital, he said, explaining why an IPO is not at the forefront of Ripple's agenda, which I can fully understand. Brad also did acknowledge that the importance of ensuring liquidity for shareholders and maintaining appropriate company, essentially, valuations. However, he retreated that prioritizing an IPO is not urgent, especially given the time-consuming process it entitles. Even when I think about it, I usually, when a company says they're going public, it still takes 12 months plus, he said, adding that the regulatory conditions must improve first. When discussing the broader crypto market space as it heads into 2025, Brad expressed positivity. Despite the challenges the industry has faced so far, Brad pointed out that the US government's previously hostile stance towards crypto is beginning to shift, especially with major players like BlackRock entering the space. He explained that the importance of this development as it indicates increasing institutional interest in blockchain technology and its potential applications, while acknowledging the difficulty of making accurate predictions about crypto prices. Brad remains optimistic about the next year or two, suggesting that positive changes may occur sooner than later. According to Brad, the company Ripple does not need to go public in any sort of way, because Ripple does not need to raise money or raise any sort of capital, because Ripple has capital. Two, Brad said that even if we do decide to go public, it will take minimum 12 months. Three, he said, even if we do go public, we have to first change the SEC. In other words, get rid of Gary Gensler. Four, if any company goes public, they're going to be controlled, which means the moment Ripple goes public, Believe it or not, BlackRock will essentially start buying shares. Franklin Templeton will buy shares. Vanguard will buy shares. Goldman Sachs will buy shares. JP Morgan, every single major establishment around the world will be started buying shares of Ripple, which means Ripple will be controlled, which is another thing probably that Ripple doesn't want. Because if they go public, no longer are they in control. But there's another issue. Well, there's another thing as well, which at one point Ripple does have to go public, because Ripple is going to be handling too much wealth, you could say, way too much wealth. And if they're not public, then some people might not like that. So somewhere down the line, Ripple is going to go public because they're going to be controlling too much wealth around the world. And some people might want a piece of the pie, which means Ripple has to go public at some point, which they will. But not now, and I fully understand why they don't want to do it now. One, they don't want to be controlled. Two, they don't need to raise money because they have money. They're buying new businesses all the time. And three, they don't even need money for lawyers because they have money for lawyers and they've won every case against the SEC. A lot of people will claim that Ripple lost against the SEC and that previous battle that we had. And the easiest answer I can give to anybody that still assumes that Ripple lost against the SEC, winners don't appeal cases. Losers appeal cases. Always remember that. Now, what we're going to talk about next is Central South Asia. Because moving on from the Ripple news and Brad news to a study report that's just came out, the top 20 countries in terms of the Asian market space when it comes to crypto assets. There's a lot of things happening in Asia, Middle East. There's a lot of things happening in the United Arab Emirates and Dubai. There's a lot of things happening in Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan. And a lot of things are happening over there, which we're about to go through right now. Central and Southern Asia emerges as a leader in global crypto adoption. 7 countries in the top 20 list for the highest global crypto adoption index came from the Central and Southern Asian Oceanus. The region has even contributed $750 billion of global crypto assets in terms of inflow values based on the July 2023 and July 2024s. Now, these are the countries that we're going to be going through. Now, these are countries in terms of regulations and policies that are well more ahead than any other country. Because previously on the slide, we talked about the amount of volume coming in terms of countries' volumes coming in on the Western side. Now we're talking about the other side of the market space, which is the Asian side, the Middle Eastern side. According to Chainalysis reports, crypto activities, the CSAO regions, was primarily fueled by centralized exchanges and the rise in institutional activities. Central and Southern Asia and Oceania accounts for about 35% of the top 20 countries in global crypto adoption index. Represented by, these are the countries that are running the show when it comes to the crypto side in the Asian market space and the Middle Eastern market spaces: India, Indonesia, Vietnam, the Philippines, Pakistan, Thailand, and Cambodia. The region also accounts for other $750 billion in inflows between July 2023 and July 2024, marking up 16.6% of the global essentially values received. Moreover, India is now the global leader in grassroots crypto adoption and even leads worldwide in centralized service values and retail, essentially centralized services values received last year. Despite added regulations on the country's crypto industries, India's crypto environment, however, entertainment essentially, however, has shifted to more overseas exchanges with more favorable environments, considering the steep capital gains tax transaction and imposed taxes on cryptocurrencies. International exchanges like Binance, HTX, Kraken, Gate.io, KuCoin, Bitstamp, MEXC, and Bitfinex were at the odds of India's Financial Intelligence Unit over the anti-money laundering compliance issues back in December 2023. The Financial Commissions even asked India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology to restrict access to the exchanges. Nevertheless, India's customers can still exchange applications, and it is essentially if installed beforehand. Indonesia has also shown remarkable progress as well. Indonesia surpassing India in crypto volumes received between July 2023 and 2024, earning over $157 billion. The Indonesian crypto market boosts one of the fastest growing crypto exchanges in the world, you can say, even in the region, growing nearly by 200%. Barry Matthew, product manager at Python, explained essentially, "I believe Indonesia's growing crypto market is primarily due to the novelty of crypto and the promise of quick profits. Many people still see crypto as speculative financial instruments." Barry Matthew also went on to say, Singapore crypto market is also growing tremendously, with several crypto consumers using essentially digital assets for payments by second quarter of 2024. Digital payment platforms in Singapore had seen over $1 billion worth of cryptos assets in transactions. So on the Asian side, essentially on the market space, countries that are leading the show, by the looks of it, Singapore and Indonesia. India's running the show as well when it comes to the Asian market side, but Indonesia is growing the fastest, and so is Singapore, which is massive to see. Now, what we're going to talk about next, moving away from the data. So the earlier part of the show, we talked about the Western markets in terms of volume bringing in. And now we talked about the Asian market space in terms of volume bringing in regulations. Who's running the show? Which countries ahead of another country? Now we're going to talk about BRICS, because BRICS has just launched their demo of its new payment system, which we're about to go through now. But before we do that, let's consider the comment section first. Let's see what's any questions. Once again, this is a live, so if you do have any questions, put them down in the comment section. Reading everyone's questions one by one and reading out people's names as well. Toby, you said, when you say Ripple's going public, I thought they were public already because already public market and coin market cap, many public exchanges. Please light more. No, when I say Ripple is thinking about Ripple has to go public, I mean on the stock exchange, on the NASDAQ, not on, as in Ripple's a private company. Ripple's not a public company, it's a private company. So Ripple going public means Ripple does an IPO. If Ripple does an IPO, it's on the NASDAQ basically, and it will have, like Coinbase, the simplest way I can put it for you. Coinbase is a public company that people can trade on, and the ticker is coin. So when a company goes public, it's basically going on the market, not the crypto market, the other market stock. So that means that people can invest into the token XRP, if you know, for the future of XRP Ledger, and also means people can invest into Ripple, the company itself. So you can invest in both the company itself and the product they created. Will ACH benefit from Asian news? Yes, ACH is going to do amazing in the Asian market space, definitely. But ACH is doing incredible all around. They have contracts everywhere. They have licensings inside the United States, inside the continent of Africa, many countries in Asia, many countries in the EU. ACH has contracts everywhere. They have contract with MasterCard, Visa, ACH. They're very good with on-ramp and off-ramp. I may have missed it. Is there a timeline? Is there a timeline for Ripple to go public? Also, what about RLUSD? There's no timeline in any sort of a way for Ripple to go public, but Ripple has to go public somewhere down the road. The reason why I said, so Brad today said that at the Ripple Swell event, basically, he said that Ripple is not going public for now, and that they don't need to raise capital. One of the reasons why people go public is to raise capital. Another reason is they're going to be controlled by other people because it's a public company. People who owns the most majority of shares controls the company because it's public now. So Ripple said, Brad said, CEO of Ripple, they don't want to go public because they don't want to raise capital, which means they're not going public anytime soon. 2, he said that Ripple, if they do even apply for an IPO, something needs to change in the SEC. 3, he said that if Ripple wants to do an IPO, it's going to take minimum 12 months for Ripple to go public. 4, I said that Ripple has to go public somewhere down the road. It could be next year or so on, because they're going to be controlling too much wealth. Ripple can't remain a private company that controls that much amount of wealth, because somewhere down the line, somebody or some groups of people will want a piece of the pie when it comes to Ripple. And those groups that want a piece of the pie normally get the piece of the pie they want. So somewhere down the line, Ripple will go public because it's going to be controlling too much wealth, and it needs to be a public company so some people can, you know, enjoy the benefits also. And by that, I don't mean the retail section. In terms of the stock exchange, the retail section can benefit from the token XRP. And if you want to go for Ripple, the company itself, why not? But what I mean is the institutions that want a piece of the pie of the action when Ripple's a public company, because they're going to be controlling too much wealth to remain a private company. Too much wealth, which means they have to go public somewhere down the line. But they're not going now, is what essentially Brad is saying. Mainly because SEC, second because they don't need to raise capital, so they can remain private for the time being. Great news, people. Share the live. Miles is on. Let's go, Scott. And regarding RLUSD, it's getting closer to its release. As far as I'm aware, it's getting closer to its release. It hasn't released yet. But even Monica Long did mention essentially that even that RLUSD, and Monica Long tweeted this out from Ripple. Monica Long CEO as well, tweeted this out and said that when Ripple comes out with their RLUSD, XRP is still going to be vital and used. This was her own tweet from Ripple, because a lot of people still claim, even in 2024, in this particular month, still people will claim XRP is never going to be used by Ripple. And then you have Ripple for the millionth time themselves tweeting out RLUSD is coming out and that XRP is still going to be playing a vital and crucial role. It's on their own tweets. I even used her tweet to send out another tweet to people where I stated, for example, that I'll show you right now. I said, Monica Long's tweet was, incredibly proud to share this milestone on the stage at Ripple Swell. RLUSD is designed for financial use cases such as payments, tokenization, and DeFi. We will use RLUSD alongside XRP. This is coming from Monica Long, Ripple themselves. We will be using RLUSD alongside XRP in our payments solution to enable faster and more reliable, cost-effective cross-border payments. Because people still, even in 2024, in this particular month as well, people still claim Ripple's not going to be using XRP because RLUSD is coming up. That's why it's coming up, because they're putting XRP to the side. And this isn't the first time Ripple's mentioned they're going to be using XRP. This is the millionth time Ripple's mentioned on themselves that Ripple is going to be using XRP. So I used her tweet, and I tweeted out on top, and I said, I've always known you'd be using XRP. But given the number of clueless people inside the crypto space, I appreciate you making it crystal clear for the millionth time. Say it louder, just in case one's still lost in the noise didn't catch it, that XRP will be used. From Ripple themselves, it's their own tweet. But people will still claim Ripple's not using XRP. And then you have Monica Long for the millionth time saying, yes, we are. Ripple themselves are saying, yes, we are. Crypto influencers are like, no, I don't believe it. Now, BRICS is what we're going to talk about next. Facts, Miles. Institutions will want a piece of the pie. Also facts. BRICS. BRICS launches demo of its new payment system. BRICS just dropped the demo of its long-awaited payment system. BRICS Pay, the new payment system, is rolling out as the group gears up for their big post-expansion summit in Kazan, Russia, from October 22nd to October 24th. So BRICS Pay, this QR payment system that's been coming up. Russia this year, BRICS chair is pushing hard to break away from the grip of the Western-controlled financial systems. Russian Finance Minister Anton Silvin called for an alternative to International Monetary Fund (IMF) to push back against the political power placed from America. Now, I shared this news a couple of days ago regarding Russia's finance minister coming out, one of Russia's finance ministers coming out and saying that they want to create their own international monetary fund, which might not end too well. But BRICS now represents 37% of the global economy and evidently wants to level the playing fields. BRICS Pay, breaking down the system. BRICS Pay is being called the cornerstone of payment systems for independent sovereignties. Nations, according to the official website. Chinese officials say BRICS Pay will give countries more ways to settle goods and services, strengthening economic ties, and of course, is designed to help these nations step away from the US dollar. Financial diversification is the name of the game, and this system is reportedly meant to boost economic independence across the board. BRICS Pay's decentralized and independent and clear move away from the SWIFT system that Europe uses. BRICS has been toying with the idea since 2019, trying to build a unified payment system that works for all member nations. By 2020, the BRICS payment system task force was already in motion and is finally picking up speed. During the BRICS Business Forum in Moscow, held at the International Trade Center, participants got a sneak peek at the retail technologies behind BRICS Pay. The platform has been designed to handle everything from retail payments to remittances. The push against the dollar, the US dollar has been on top dog for a long time, but the dominance has become a problem for some nations. Thanks to the US sanctions, some countries have pushed out the dollar's base system, forcing them to look for other ways to handle payments. BRICS Pay is stepping in to fill that gap. Now, BRICS Pay is basically Bank of International Settlements. And Bank of International Settlements is BRICS countries, including essentially the United States, which is not a part of BRICS, the UK's 63 centralized banks are under the Bank of International Settlements, including the BRICS countries, and including the rest of the countries, and including the United States. They're all under the same dinner table. They're all sitting at the same dinner table, as a reference to put it for you. As the BRI continues to grow, BRICS Pay might be used to go for settling trade and investment payments. BRICS added 5 more members earlier this year: Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the UAE, Iran, and Ethiopia. Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, and China's president are the ones leading the de-dollarization agenda. Just the other day, presidential candidate Donald Trump said China thinks America is a very stupid country. The reason why China or the entire world might assume that America is a stupid country is because of Sleepy Joe. You have a president named Sleepy Joe. Of course, nobody's going to take this man seriously. And then your second choice was what? Goldfish Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is like choosing an OF girl to become a president of the country. But then you have Donald Trump, a businessman who they tried to go after and even assassinate a couple of times. Trump is always the best choice because this man can essentially stop any wars, and he has proven that. And also, this man can fix an economy because he knows how to run a business. Some people will criticize Trump and say, well, he's bankrupted himself 6 times, 11 times. Look, I don't give an S if essentially Donald Trump has bankrupted himself 25 times. Bankruptcy is a term used for the retail section of somebody being, somebody failing in life. If you're from the retail section and you go bankrupt, you're like somebody that's failed in life, and everybody will see you as a failure. If you're wealthy and you go bankrupt, it means you're hiding your finances. There's a big difference between a retail member going bankrupt and a wealthy person going bankrupt. A retail member, when he goes bankrupt, he really goes bankrupt. If you're retail, you go bankrupt, you really go bankrupt. You are last your single penny in your pockets. If you're wealthy and you go bankrupt, it means you're hiding your finances. It's a way to get around. It's a loophole, bankruptcy. So don't get twisted whenever the news comes out and says Donald Trump has bankrupted himself 6 times. That's just what wealthy people do to hide finances. And I would do the same. Everybody would do the same. Who likes the idea of paying taxes? Everybody inside the crypto space is trying to figure out how to skip taxes. And people are criticizing Trump for skipping on taxes with a loophole that the law is there for. And everybody inside the crypto space is trying to skip taxes. Even the politicians, Nancy Pelosi or Senator Elizabeth Warren, all of these BS politicians, even them, they are trying to skip taxes also, but they'll blame Donald Trump. This man's trying to skip taxes, but so are you. And so is everybody else. Even politicians themselves run away from taxes, but they look at Trump and go, how can this man skip on taxes? Why are you doing it as well? And why has the law existed? If a law has existed with a loophole, then it's existed with a loophole to be used and abused for people who know about it. You don't like the way people do business? Change the law. But don't leave that law open, like an open door. And whoever uses it and say, shame them and name them and say, how can you use this? You left the door open. It's a law that everybody can use. But yeah, don't get twisted when it comes to essentially, Donald Trump. I mean, you have Sleepy Joe. Of course, Donald Trump is going to be coming out and saying China thinks America is a very stupid country because the president is called Sleepy Joe. And then you have option number 2, which is Kamala Harris, which I basically said it's like choosing an OF girl to become a president of the United States. It's basically what Kamala Harris is. She's an OF girl. That's how she got her career. And then you have Donald Trump, which is basically, a businessman that's been using the system to his advantage. That makes you intelligent. And it's a system that they left open, but they blame him for using it. Everybody would use that system. If you can find a genuine way, retail section as well, if you can find a genuine way within the law to skip on your taxes, 1,000,000,000% everybody will take that route. Not a single person on this planet can actually stand up and say, I like paying taxes. Nobody likes it. There's no single person on this planet that will stand up and go, I like paying my high taxes. To feed politicians. So I don't understand the criticism that Donald Trump gets when the law is there to be abused. It's a loophole in the law to skip on taxes. So this man goes bankrupt. It's a loophole. And remember, as I said, big difference. Retail section going bankrupt. This man, if you're a retail section, you go bankrupt, you're fully bankrupt. If you're wealthy and you go bankrupt, you're hiding your finances. It's not really bankruptcy. But that's the part the news will never tell you. Now, the dollar. So moving on, with Trump saying the United States is, essentially seen as a stupid country by China, it most likely is. Sleepy Joe. Meanwhile, Putin says not to blame the United States, it's blame the president, basically. To blame the president, essentially Sleepy Joe. Meanwhile, Putin's beef with Biden is mainly over Ukraine. The former believes that America is trying to de-dollarize the entire world. The dollar is still holding strong for now, but as of press time, the US dollar is still holding on to its position. Despite growing oppositions and geopolitical chaos that's going around, it remains resilient against other major currencies. The US economy continues to be the top player too, accounting for about 26% of global GDP. This, combined with the unmatched liquidity of US capital markets, is why central banks still hold a large amounts of dollars in reserves. About 60% of global reserves are parked in the greenback, and 64% of global debt securities, essentially. And 64% of global debt securities are denominated in dollars. That's not changing overnight. The potential political disaster that might arise from an upcoming presidential election could make the dollar vulnerable, especially if investors lose confidence due to their losing party reacts. Analysts and economists are predicting more volatility in the markets and potential disruptions in supply chains. The instability could force essentially more countries to look for alternatives to the dollar, like the BRICS system, especially with the Federal Reserve starting to make unprecedented moves with interest rates. So, in other words, if the OF Kamala Harris gets chosen as the next president of the United States, basically the OF girl, she becomes president of the United States, the United States is pretty much done for. The entire country is pretty much done for. And that more people will be joining BRICS to go against it. But then there's the other alternative scenario as well, which is essentially something that I said a long time ago, which is in motion, and it's happening. Everything I say happens like a domino effect. But I'll leave that for another time. But I've said that, and it has been happening. The scenario is basically that Ripple's essentially, this is just one all big show. As normally you would presume a lot of things are a big show, which they are. There's no such thing as coincidence when it involves money in this world at all. There's no such thing as coincidence, just coordination when it involves money. But a lot of countries are also being, going towards the digital side. It's all plans. It's all big plans. You know what? I'm gonna write an article about this. I'm gonna write an article of everything I've said that's came true back to back. And also I'm gonna put my other essentially things on the article as well. Everything, I'll put everything inside of it. I'll post it. But what we're going to talk about next is the Ripple confusion. Ripple confusion. Which is it the 16th? Is it the 17th? Is it the 18th? People are assuming it's the 16th, people are assuming 17th, people are assuming 18th. So we're going to go through the confusion to unconfuse people. Before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. He just uses the system. Yes, he does. And by the way, this is a live. If you do have any questions, put them down inside the comment section. I'm reading everyone's questions one by one, giving answers out. What does an OF go? Actually, there is many people in Sweden are happy paying taxes. Also, many cheaps in Sweden. Yeah, it's weird when people say I'm happy paying my high taxes. Your tax money actually doesn't go to fix the economy. Never does. Your roads will still look the same. You'll still have the same amount of homeless people or even more. Your essentially economy will be going further down. No matter how much taxes you pay, just to put in perspective, no matter how much taxes you pay, the economy will never get fixed because the people that are running the economies care about one thing: greed and power. And if you have people in control who care about greed and power, it doesn't matter how much taxes you pay, your taxes are never going towards fixing the economy, are going basically towards turmoiling the entire economy. So regarding the taxes situation, your taxes aren't going actually to fix your roads. They're not going to fix your economies. They're not going towards essentially fixing your school educations for your kids. They're not going towards fixing the homeless issues. Homeless issues actually is increasing every country. The homeless essentially the population as homeless is increasing in every country. It's never went downwards. It's always just increased because the government doesn't look after you in any sort of a way. And there's a reason why they don't look after homeless people, because they can't bet on them. And what I mean by that is very simple. The reason why no government in the entire world cares about homeless people, if you've ever wondered to yourself, why does the government not care about homeless people? They've never cared about homeless people. Only when it's Olympic season. If a country is doing Olympics, there's no more homeless people on the streets. Not a single homeless person will be on the streets if the Olympics are going on in that country, because they'll move all the homeless people to make the streets look clean for every country to come and spend their money. And when the Olympics finish, the homeless people are put back on the streets. The reason why no country or any government in the world doesn't care about homeless people is because they can't make money from homeless people. A simpler way. If you get a job, you pay taxes, which means the government makes money from you. So if you go the right way in life, you get a job, you pay your taxes, the government makes money from you. If you go the left way in life, which is you go to prison, the government still makes money from you, and private companies make more money from you with you staying in prison. So if you go the correct way in life, which is get a job essentially, you pay taxes, government is happy, they're making money from the citizens. If you go to prison, the government is still making money from you, private companies are making more money from you. If you're homeless, you're in the middle. The government cannot make tax money from you, and the government cannot make money from you for being in prison. So therefore, you're in the middle. And if the government cannot make a single penny out of you, you're going to remain in the middle. That is why not a single government on this planet cares about homeless people. If you ever wondered to yourself, why doesn't the government care about the homeless issue? Because there's no profit. There's no profit for being homeless. If you go the correct way in life, you get a job, taxes. Government makes money from your taxes. If you go the left way in life, you go to prison, which means the government makes money from you if you go to prison. Private companies make money from you if you go to prison. But if you're homeless, you're in the middle. There's no profit, which means the government doesn't care. That's why they don't care about any homeless people. And that's why homeless populations will increase. The government couldn't care less because they can't profit from you. If they can't profit, they can't care about you. The sad part is, even the ones that are paying taxes, they still don't care about you. They're just using your tax money and give you, crumbs. Now, confusion on the Ripple situation. Ripple versus SEC case, confusion. The truths behind Form C filings. Some people say 16th, some people say 17th, some people say it's 18th regarding Ripple's case. The ongoing legal battle, this is for the confusion to stop. The ongoing legal battle between the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and Ripple Labs has seen a new wave of uncertainty. The SEC's deadline for filing Form C in its case against Ripple is set for October 18, 2024. This wreaks confusion over whether the SEC had missed the deadline, initially thought to be October 16th. However, the SEC's appeal against the favorable ruling of Ripple was officially recorded on October 4th, allowing them to file their Form C by the new deadline. But there's a however as well. Ripple will then have 7 days to submit their own Form C for a cross appeal, potentially extending the case timeline. The case docket reveals that the SEC filed this notice of appeal on October 2nd, 2024. This filing date plays a critical role in calculating the deadline of the submission of Form C. Legal analysts like Jeremy Hogan have been essentially questioning whether the Form C was due by October 17th, 16th, or 18th, or if the SEC could have until October 18th during the timing of the docket entry, because there's two estimates. One is essentially it's by the 16th and the 17th due to the notice of the appeal, and the other one is when the document was filed in. I'm trying to figure out, this is what Jeremy Hogan said, the lawyer, I'm trying to figure out how we got the time frame wrong, but I can't see any flaw in the logic. The C was due today, and it's not showing up on the docket. If it wasn't filed, the appeal will be dismissed, is what it says. These are certain facts as we know them. Eleanor, a reporter of Fox, essentially, closely following the case on X, noted that the nuance of the appeal process, pointing out the SEC's notice of appeal was filed on October 2nd, 2024, but was not officially entered into the system until October 4th, 2024. This has led to questions about whether the SEC could argue for a later deadline. As of now, the deadline interpretation seems to be Friday, October 18th, 2024. Gary Gensler, that little weasel, Gary Gensler, essentially put a notice of an appeal on October 2nd. Gary Gensler, the little weasel, he put a notice of an appeal October 2nd, filed that in October 4th to buy himself, how much? 2 more days. But now, the question still remains, is the courts going to count it from 2nd or 4th? Is the courts counting it from notice of appeal or filing the appeal? Because you notice the appeal and then you file it. But the court's going to be counting it from notice of appeal or filing an appeal. Now, there's many lawyers saying this and that. There's some lawyers saying it's from notice of appeal. There's some lawyers saying it's when the file was in, which is the 4th, not the 2nd. Now, the delay in the official docking has added a layer of confusion and complexities, leaving both legal experts and involved parties on the edge. The lack of clear answers has fueled speculation over the SEC's next move and whether their appeal could be still saved. If the SEC fails to meet their Form C filing deadline, it risks having its appeal deadline. It risks having its appeal against Ripple dismissed, which would be a significant legal setback for the agency. The possibility of such a dismissal has generated intense interest from the community, who are eager to see how this case develops. Since the new date for the deadline has been decided to be October 18th by some lawyers, there has been no Form C filings from the SEC so far. Interestingly, Fred has also mentioned that the courts provide a lot of leeway to federal agencies, giving an excuse for them to extend their deadlines. Appropriate courts are also giving a lot of leeway to federal agencies. Even a lame excuse from the government is likely enough to allow the courts to let it slide. So, if Sleepy Joe or Kamala Harris or the Biden administration come out essentially defending Gary Gensler in the Ripple case, then the SEC will be able to buy itself extra days. For example, if the Biden administration backs, if the government comes out and backs the federal agencies, then the SEC can get more extra days to its names. But would Kamala Harris do that? If she does, she's a moron. I mean, Kamala Harris is already a moron. That will just make Kamala Harris more of a moron. Because the news is, and Mark Cuban, I don't know what they have on Mark Cuban. I said this since day one. I said Mark Cuban is too wealthy, so it's not money that he needs. They definitely have something on Mark Cuban. I said this since day one, a long time ago. And, people like Mark Cuban coming out, a lot of other CEOs and executives coming out and stating Kamala Harris is pro-crypto, she's pro-crypto. Well, if the government comes out backing the SEC, the Biden administration, then Kamala Harris cannot be seen as pro-crypto in any sort of a way, not even by 1%, not even by 0.1%. In contrast, Ripple Labs and its legal representatives have been actively filing notices of appearance, reflecting their readiness to respond to the SEC's appeal. Ripple's ready fully for anything that happens. The filings from Ripple and all submitted promptly suggest that they are preparing for whatever legal arguments may come next, as Ripple does not want to risk anything from its end. Ripple is fully ready for anything that's prepared to be thrown at it from the SEC. I've said this, and I'll say this again, the SEC has zero merit. There's not a single thing that the SEC can argue over. And I think Gary Gensler at one point, somewhere down the line, maybe he'll have a conscience and realize there's not much I can argue, because whatever I had on Ripple, I already used it. If this case moves forwards, by some miracle, this case moves forward, and the SEC appeal is granted, then this is genuinely one big-ass show, with Ripple especially funding, $1 million of Chris Lawson's XRP money going towards Kamala Harris, and then Kamala Harris being the same Biden administration that vetoed Congress in favor of the SEC. So, motion goes forward. This is definitely one big show. Either way, it's positive. Look, if this is one big show, you're still good. You're making money. If this isn't one big show, it's a genuine case, and Gary Gensler's just being an absolute tool, or see you next Tuesday type of person, then you're still making money. Not financial advice in any sort of a way, but that's the confusion. So it's basically the SEC filing in put a notice on 2nd. They filed in on the 4th. They brought themselves 2 days. Some lawyers are arguing it actually starts from the 2nd. Some lawyers are arguing it starts from the 4th. That's why it's leading up to the 18th. And Ripple themselves, Brad, tweeted out on a reply for Eleanor and said that even according to Brad himself, he said that the SEC, as usual, are playing by their own rules. Even to Brad, it should have been today, but it wasn't. Not today, because today's the 18th, because it's 1 a.m. right now in London. But even according to Brad, it should have been sooner. It should have been on the deadline, and they didn't do it on the deadline. Even according to Brad. According to some lawyers, it's still on Brad's side. Other lawyers are saying, no, it's the 4th, not the notice date. But that's where the confusion all started from. Either way, it's 2 days or not. Now, there was one person tweeting about the SEC filed in 7 minutes ago or something. Yeah, that person just spreads misinformation inside the crypto space. Please be careful about that moron. We have come also to, all good things must come to an end, which is basically the end of this live right now. So all good things must come to an end. It has right now. This was the CMF Live. This was episode 183 of the CMF Live. You can tune into this live if you're watching this for the first time ever and you want to know what this live is about or when it airs. Every single night you can tune into this live basically at around 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards. I talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations. And we do Q&As as well. And the disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So, drop a follow, drop a like. If you're watching this for the first time ever, and you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe if you already haven't. If you're watching this on X, follow me if you already haven't. Tune into this live every single night. And also join. This live is free, by the way, every single night. I've been doing this live for more than, roughly about 2 years now. And also, join the CMF on Telegram if you already haven't. The live show of this Telegram group, and join the CMFX communities page. This live show is called CMF, stands for Crypto Miles Family. My name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles. Join the CMF on X if you already haven't. The communities page of this live show is on my profile on X. If you go to my profile on X, if you're watching this on X, you can see that the X communities page is there for this live. Join it. Everybody's absolutely amazing. I'll be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. And also, just to give you a gist of a rundown, we went through these news topics on tonight's live show. We talked about the Ripple versus SEC case confusion. We also talked about on tonight's live regarding BRICS payments. We talked about what's the list of countries inside the Asian market space when it comes to crypto transactions and regulations and policies. We also talked about on tonight's live show regarding Ripple's CEO Brad talking about IPOs. We also went through the news topic on tonight's live show regarding Beijing's real estate sector going through some turbulence. We also talked about Liberland, which is a country that's essentially favored for blockchain technology. We also talked about on tonight's live show regarding X being possibly censored by the EU once again. And we also talked about XDC Network signing a major contract with T-Hub, a major large Indian corporation, which is inside the gaming sector, the entertainment sector, the health sector, whatever sector that is possibly available. This T-Hub Indian company is a part of it, and now XDC is their partner, which means everything they said is going to be running on the XDC network. We also talked about on tonight's live show regarding France having about $101 billion in crypto assets, and a lot of European other countries having that as well. We also talked about on tonight's live show regarding the most US voters that are, in terms of US voters, are they pro-crypto? Are they not? Grayscale said, yes, they are. So drop a like, drop a follow if you're watching this for the first time ever. CMF, I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in every single night. Good night, Miles, and thank you for the news. JPC tomorrow about the same time as usual. Actually, if she wins, America will give 4 years advantage to those countries. Meant to say sheeps. Many sheeps in Sweden. Yep. When will XRP's big price saying never get high and have a ball? King Charles today stated that he wants the UK to give homeless situations fixed as soon as possible. Miles, no, he's lying. He's lying. There's no every government. Every politician will come out and say, we want to help the homeless. They never do. The homeless population just increases even more. There's no profit. It's all about profit. Always remember, If a government takes action, if any government on this planet takes action for anything, it involves profits. If a government on this planet doesn't take action for a certain thing, then that means whatever it was, no profit. Nobody's interested. Always remember that. No profit, no action. No profit, no war. It's always about profit and power. It's just greed. Great life tonight as always, brother. Take care, Miles and CMF. Ray, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. Thank you, Miles. Good night, JP. Mike, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. JP, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks, Miles. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Orphan, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Ian, good night, Miles and family. Great life. Thanks so much. See you tomorrow. Ian, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. Great life tomorrow. Great life tonight as always, brother. Take care, Miles and CMF. Ray, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. Come on, good life. Great live as always, brother. Please, if you can, post the PDF from yesterday. Yes, I will. Another great job, Miles. You are on fire tonight. Thanks for all you do for daily for our family group. Scott, let's go. See you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual in the CMF group. Thank you, Miles, and good night, all. Lena, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Share the live, folks. Also, place a comment after the live to help the algorithm. Yes, definitely. Place a comment after the live is done to help the algorithm of the X video and the YouTube video when you do get a chance, CMF. Stormy, thanks, Miles. No problem. Stormy, 8 times. See you tomorrow, Stormy, same time as usual. Thanks, Legend. Shelly, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles. The same free fair. See you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Great job, Miles. I appreciate the condo and honesty. Let's go. Miles is the goat. Scott, see you tomorrow, same time as usual, brother. Miles for US President. Let's go, Scott. Thank you, Miles. Vibe, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Mike, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Could you kindly send me a link for the KuCoin, please? Yes, Lena will send you a link for KuCoin, no problem. Share the live. Scott, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Miles, no homeless, no profits. Pretty much. I will see you. Well, homeless bring profits for different types of people. I will see you tomorrow. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Same time as usual. Everybody have a great day. Tomorrow I might be off, but we don't know. If I am off, then it will be continuing on Saturday. So I might have to do something tomorrow. But I'll let everybody know. This is why I say it's important for you to join the X communities and Telegram page so you can be known if I do take a day off related to work-wise or related to going to an event or something. But I might be off tomorrow. We'll see. I'll let everybody know it's our Telegram group. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. If I don't, the next day, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. I'll see you, everybody. Love you all. CMF, see you.